She starts to wonder if he's still under the influence of the three principles and plans to observe him a bit more. Noticing his focused gaze, she says she knew it, that he was different at Dead Mansion. Good kids weren't just strong but also intelligent, and he was always the most outstanding child. Even if he might hide his power, he can't hide his brilliance. She looks over while thinking how troublesome it is, and that he should at least try to conceal this much if he's hiding his identity. She plans to teach him again once she gets a chance, though Sha is simply drawing stick figures in his notebook. Seeing this, she's taken aback, and she hits him hard, asking what he's doing while in class. Now at the washroom, we see her breaking down while denying there's no way he became such a stupid child. Though his face certainly matches, she can't find a single shred of elegance in him. She wonders if all this is a coincidence, but thinks there's no way such an immature kid is Sha. Rachel then changes her plan, thinking it's no longer simply a matter of protecting the three principles. She changes her disguise again and plans to find out if he really is codenamed Sha. We see her following Cheyenne as he thinks that the teacher usually doesn't hit that hard. Rachel, behind him, plans to kill him if he turns out to be someone else. Suddenly, someone calls Cheyenne from behind. It's Hyo's mother, who asks where he's heading and says she met him just at the right time. She asks if he'd help her carry some stuff, which he immediately agrees to. She thanks him and invites him to eat some food at her place. He thanks her for the offer, and Rachel wonders who that old lady is. Back at the shop, we see Cheyenne eating like there's no tomorrow. Seeing this, Hyo's mom tells him to eat slowly. Observing her, Rachel realizes she's heard about her from Joseph, that she put her son into a coma. She starts to get annoyed while wondering what kind of relationship she has with Cheyenne. As she looks at him up close, she notices he's eating too vulgarly, and the closer she gets, the more vulgar he looks. After observing all of it, she assumes he can't be Sha and wonders how he could look so vulgar while having the same face as him. Suddenly, she lets out a loud grunt from the food being too spicy and quickly asks for water. Hyo's mom gives her water to drink, remarking that she can't handle spice very well. Rachel thinks it's not simply spice, it's more like torture, and wonders how anyone can eat stuff like this, thinking this much spice should be considered poison or even assassination. Cheyenne tells her to eat more slowly while calling her clumsy, which pisses Rachel off, thinking she'll surely kill him for this. She also remembers that Sha can't handle spicy food. He used to hold her hands while eating it, and that he must be having a rough time in Korea as well due to it. But she suddenly notices something. She watches him closely as Hyo's mother asks if it's good, and he replies that it's delicious. She wonders if he's holding back, thinking he shouldn't just eat it if it's like that, and wonders why he's forcing himself. Suddenly, she realizes it. She recalls all the times he followed and accepted whatever Hyo's mom told him, and concludes that he's listening to everything this old woman tells him, like obeying her commands. She also remembers that scene, and realizes it's indeed impossible to do all that without a command. She comes to the possibility that perhaps someone ordered Sha to destroy Baeongwoo construction, and the only person who could have done that is this old woman. According to the first principle of Dead Mansion, a parent's words are absolute. She deduces that he recognizes the old woman as a parent and listens to her orders, and with that assumption, everything fits perfectly. She then asks for the bill, and as soon as Hyo's mom turns around, Rachel picks up a chopstick, thinking there's one way to verify her assumptions. She aims and throws the chopstick toward her, but it gets blocked by a fork. Sha then jumps over the counter and grabs Rachel, who's smiling excitedly upon confirming her assumptions. The stool falls over, and Hyo's mom looks back, seeing both Cheyenne and Rachel missing, and gets confused. Now in some alleyway, Rachel attacks Cheyenne while reciting the third principle of Dead Mansion, but Cheyenne dodges and tries to counter, which she also blocks. Cheyenne tells her to get it over with and asks if she's planning to follow him around all day. We see Cheyenne recognizes her as none other than Rachel and is pissed, while Rachel is excited upon realizing it's really Sha. She tells him it's been a while. Rachel calls it quite strange and asks why he's following an old woman from a snack shop like she's his parent, as there's no way such a shabby shop owner could be a client of Dead Mansion. Cheyenne replies that he doesn't know what she's talking about. He realizes he did cause a big fuss, but he didn't expect it to be found out so quickly. Rachel suddenly ducks, grabs Cheyenne, and throws him on the ground. She sits on top of him and tells him to come back with her, as there are many clients waiting for him. Upon hearing that, he starts to remember his time in Dead Mansion, but suddenly another memory surfaces. A woman with her face riddled with blood as she gives Cheyenne his name while gently caressing his face. Cheyenne wonders what that was, and Rachel gets confused, asking what he just said. Cheyenne snaps back to reality, headbutts Rachel, and with that, he's able to break free from her grasp. Rachel gets a bloody nose from the strike, but blows the blood out and asks if he's not going to come back quietly. Cheyenne has already run away, worried about them sending Rachel to get him back. While running, he's reminded of that memory again and starts to wonder who that person is. Now at Dead Mansion, the director is surprised to hear that Rachel lost Cheyenne and asks her to explain. She apologizes and cuts back against other people to get into the changing room while telling the director that she let her guard down for a moment. She reports that she found out the old woman who was controlling him with the principles and that, from what she observed, Shaw was considering her to be his parent. The director thinks about how he's following the words of a woman he recognizes as his parent and wonders if it's really possible. He asks Rachel if the woman is intentionally controlling him with the 3 principles, and she replies that she needs more confirmation, but it doesn't seem that way as of now. Hearing all that, the director orders her to check out that woman first. As Rachel comes out of the changing room, a woman nags that she's the young person who cut her in line, though she gets confused upon seeing her come out as an old lady instead. The director explains that there are 2 ways to retrieve a good child from their parents. We switch scenes to Hyo's mom, who asks Rachel what she just said. Rachel asks her to stay away from her son. She explains that since she's often away from home due to business trips, she's unable to pay much attention to him and complains about Cheyenne being forced to eat spicy food, which he doesn't even like, breaking her heart as a parent. Hyo's mother gets sad upon realizing Cheyenne was forcing himself to eat spicy food. The first method to retrieve a good child is to make the parent voluntarily give up ownership. As Rachel tries to make Hyo's mom feel guilty for acting like Shaw's parent, she tells her that she knows Cheyenne listens to her, but she also has to take responsibility as an adult. She puts her hand on her shoulder and tells her to tell Cheyenne to go back to his home and never come back the next time he comes, meaning Dead Mansion, of course. Saying all that, Rachel tries to leave, but Hyo's mother tells her she's not going to do that, surprising Rachel. Hyo's mother questions her about being away on business trips, prompting Rachel to ask if she's going to nitpick about it. Hyo's mother asks Rachel if she's ever looked at Shan's face properly or his clothes, and if she knows what kind of school life he's having. She tells Rachel how Shan's clothes are always dirty along with his face, and whenever she asks him about it, he says he fell somewhere, which she thought was true, that he was a boy who grew up like any other boy. Tears roll down her face as she remembers Hyo saying the same thing. She states that she can't let Cheyenne end up like him as well, so without realizing it, she started to look after him. Right now, he needs a parent to watch over him. He can't end up like her Hyo. If she's busy, she'll watch over him herself. Rachel gets angry and lashes out, asking who she thinks she is to watch over him, but Hyo's mother bows and tells her she can't comply with her request. Hearing this, Rachel is left speechless and incredibly angry. Fast forward to night. She informs the director that the first method failed and that the old woman was more stubborn than expected, insisting on her ownership. The director replies that it can't be helped. He wanted to resolve it quietly if possible, and orders Rachel to proceed with the second method, which she happily agrees to. Rachel starts removing her clothes while saying she'll do that. The second way to retrieve a good child from their parent is that in the event of a parent's death, the good child is to return to Dead Mansion. She tells the director to set the old woman as the target, and she'll take care of her. The next day at the supermarket, we see Hyo's mother shopping. Rachel is hiding behind her with a remote in her hand, thinking how dare she take Shaw. She presses the button, and a bomb goes off, creating an explosion at the market. People start to panic, wondering what's going on. We see Rachel behind a net, targeting Hyo's mom while aiming at her. She says that she can't become Shaw's parent. She won't allow such a thing to happen. But right when she shoots, it gets blocked by Cheyenne with a cooking pan. Seeing him, she gets elated, while Cheyenne is surprised the pan blocked the bullet, as he saw it in a game. He tells Rachel he knew they'd do this, and questions their over-the-top methods of using bombs and weapons. Rachel tells him not to interfere, as she'll free him from that old woman, but Cheyenne makes his move, stating he can't let that happen. He pushes the aisle on top of Rachel, and she tries to avoid it by running and takes cover in a corner. But Cheyenne suddenly appears and kicks the weapon right out of her hand, saying he hopes he doesn't have to tell her about the third principle. Rachel pulls out a knife, saying she wanted to take him unharmed if possible. She slashes right at his abdomen, and we see blood spilling from Cheyenne as he asks if she really wanted that. Though he doesn't plan to let her leave unharmed, what she slashed was actually a can of ketchup. Cheyenne throws it away, and they both start fighting. Rachel asks if he really thinks he can take her down, and if he forgot her teaching that fighting should be a means to an end. As Rachel knocks Cheyenne down onto a fallen aisle, she tells him she'll give him a supplementary lesson. Hyo's mom, confused, wonders what is going on and asks the purpose of their fight. Suddenly, she looks over upon hearing the cries of a little kid. The child is crying for his mom, so Hyo's mother goes over to console and check on him. His eyes are filled with tears, and unknown to Hyo's mother, the child is actually from Dead-Ion. He starts picking up a knife behind his back. Back to Cheyenne and Rachel. Cheyenne wonders what she means by point, while Rachel attacks him. He dodges by rolling over and jumps back, but Rachel quickly catches up and tries to stab him. He dodges again. Suddenly, Cheyenne realizes they are planning something, and Rachel confirms there is indeed a plan to free him from that old woman. Cheyenne realizes something and looks over, but Rachel tells him not to be distracted in the middle of a fight. She lands a hit, scratching his cheek. Cheyenne falls back and realizes that taking on Rachel with bare hands is too much. He picks up a food can and throws it toward Rachel, but she dodges. She says that as long as they take care of that old woman, he would be back under the Dead Mansion's command, since they are their products. Hearing this, Cheyenne gets pissed and throws a bag of flour toward Rachel while she tells him to come back home with her. Rachel slashes the bag, spilling flour everywhere and creating a smokescreen. She realizes her mistake, and suddenly Cheyenne attacks with scissors, cutting her hair and leaving a cut on her face. She turns around and slides to the other side of Cheyenne to dodge. Seeing his abilities, she gets excited, claiming he is the Shah she knew from the Dead Mansion. Their weapons clash, blocking each other, and Rachel notes that he isn't even budging. Suddenly, Cheyenne appears in front of her, puts his hand between her waist and arm, and throws her into a shopping cart. Rachel gets frustrated, and Cheyenne mocks her, saying the Dead Mansion is not a place where his family is waiting, as a family doesn't refer to each other as product. He kicks her cart into other carts, locks it in place, and starts to leave, making fun of her by saying she's more of a product than him. Rachel tries to stop him by shouting his name. Back to Hyo's mother. Eugene is about to kill her as she asks if his parents aren't around, but suddenly Cheyenne comes out, calling her mother and asking if she is all right. She asks him why he isn't in class and, seeing his clothes, questions if he got hurt again. Upon seeing Cheyenne's face, Eugene realizes Cheyenne is the legend of the Dead Mansion, Shah. Seeing him here, Eugene wonders if trainer Rachel was defeated. Cheyenne asks Hyo's mother who this child is, and she replies that he lost his mom and they should take care of him first. Cheyenne kneels down and asks the kid if he remembers his parents' number. Eugene starts acting like a lost and afraid child, telling Cheyenne he doesn't know while thinking that taking on Cheyenne would be a big risk. He decides to focus on his target instead and goes straight for Hyo's mom, asking for help and planning to use her motherly instincts to get close. But she stops him, picks him up, and pretends to console him, telling him not to cry. Suddenly, Cheyenne's expression changes as he asks Eugene if he hasn't learned that dumb-looking kids will be hated. Cheyenne shapes his finger like a weapon, points it at Eugene's head, and tells him to stay still. Eugene gets scared, wondering if it's a real weapon. Cheyenne says he needs to have a conversation with the director about this, and asks if Eugene still has the direct line, since he lost his long ago. Eugene tries to feign ignorance, but Cheyenne strikes him on the neck, making him drop his weapon. Cheyenne comments on the kid holding such things. Hyo's mother looks back, asking if he heard something, and Cheyenne hides the knife, pretending not to know anything. She asks if the kid fell asleep, and Cheyenne replies that he did since he seemed tired. She tries to find his mother, and Cheyenne says the kid has a phone, and he'll try calling someone with it. Back at the Dead Mansion, the phone in the director's room starts ringing. He complains and wonders who's calling so early in the morning. He gets up, wears his cloak, and grumbles that he told them not to call on the direct line. As he picks up, Cheyenne greets him. Hearing his voice, the director gets excited, realizing it's Cheyenne, and asks why he's calling on this number. Cheyenne replies that the director seems to have sent a huge present for him and asks if he really thought he could catch him with just Rachel and some kid. The director is surprised that they both lost. Noting his reaction, Cheyenne says it's hurting his pride and that no matter who or how many they send, the result would be the same. They can keep trying if they want. The director replies that he thought Cheyenne would just run away and asks if he's planning to fight the dead mansion head-on. Cheyenne retorts that running isn't even funny. He recites the third principle of the dead mansion, stating that he considers the dead mansion a threat and will break through the current situation. Hearing this, the director smiles, gets on his knees, and starts praying to his God for blessing him with this present, which he sees as beautiful and pure due to Cheyenne's faithfulness to the three principles. The director then offers another way: send Eugene back to them, and they won't touch the old woman. Cheyenne tells him to tell Rachel to come herself after an hour. As the phone cuts, the director is elated, calling Cheyenne pure and hoping to reunite with his treasure soon. Cheyenne wakes up Eugene, who immediately looks for his knife. Cheyenne tells him not to bother, as he already took it long ago. He gives Eugene food, saying he probably hasn't eaten. Eugene reacts with disgust, saying who would eat such stuff, but fast forward, he's finished it all. On the way, Cheyenne asks if it was good, and Eugene says not really, but Cheyenne teases that he ate everything despite saying that. They arrive and meet Rachel, who's standing on a stairway. She angrily tells Eugene to come to her, and Eugene gets nervous. As Eugene walks up, Cheyenne tells him to take the food since he seemed to like it, but Rachel says Cheyenne seems relaxed and tells him she hasn't given up on him yet. She says she'll visit him soon again. Cheyenne replies that Eugene should have taken the food since he needs to eat a lot at his age, and tells Eugene things would have been easier if he'd taken care of that old woman. Eugene tries to apologize, but Rachel says he'll be disposed of soon, that they should have gotten rid of useless kids long ago. Eugene gets scared. Suddenly, Cheyenne comes back and calls out to Eugene, asking one last time if the food tasted good. Eugene, crying, says it was good. Cheyenne agrees, saying Hyo's snack shop is a great place, and tells Eugene they should go back there. The ownership rights of the dead mansion's good children belong to the buyers, the parents. However, if the parent dies, ownership reverts to the dead mansion. An old lady comes and tells Eugene she'll be his new mother from now on, and so he's readopted and sent to a new family, then another and another. The director asks Eugene how many times it's been, and Eugene says it's the fourth, but the director says it was a rhetorical question. They can keep profiting by sending him to new families, but failing to protect his parents 4 times is the worst disgrace in dead mansion history. If this continues, they'll have no choice but to dispose of him. The director asks if Eugene knows what happens to those disposed of and tells him to become useful, giving him another chance to help Rachel retrieve Cheyenne in Korea to prove his value. Back to the present, Rachel tells Eugene he'll be disposed of, making him feel useless. He thinks he can't let that happen and has to prove his worth, and such he asks Rachel for another chance. But Rachel simply looks at him with anger, and seeing her expression, he simply apologizes. Cheyenne comes and calls out to Eugene. He asks Eugene about the meal, and seeing this, Rachel gives him another chance. She orders him to kill Sean's parents, that old woman, knowing it's his last chance to prove his worth. Eugene starts his acting, seeing which Cheyenne decides to take Eugene back. Rachel thinks that Sean still perceives her as a threat, so the third principle should still apply. She asks Cheyenne that didn't they agreed on a deal that he would hand over Eugene to them and they won't touch the old woman in return. But Cheyenne replies that the kid has already said he likes the food, and he is also a regular for some time now, so he cannot help it. Rachel replies, so that's how you are going to be, and sends off Eugene to him while whispering to him that it's his last chance. She tells Cheyenne that the deal is off then, and they will go after that woman again. Now Cheyenne grabs Eugene and tells Rachel to do as she pleases while stating that he will simply best them again and again, and Eugene looks up to Cheyenne and his determined face. Fast forward and Cheyenne complains and asks Eugene on why is he here. Hyo's mom asks what does he mean why, and reminds Cheyenne that he only said that he would take care of him for the day, but Cheyenne is hesitant about coming to her house, and she tells him that it's fine since they both cannot cook for themselves, and she won't be bored either, so it's good for her. She also finds it quite fascinating that the kid's mom is also a friend of Cheyenne's mother, and Cheyenne replies, "I know, right," while thinking that in the end they are both Rachel. She asks Cheyenne to stay over at her house, but he replies that it's not necessary, but Eugene gets ready to stay over as he cannot miss this opportunity. She asks for Eugene's name and he replies, while Cheyenne thinks that it's really too much and realizes that it's his first time inside her house. He starts to look around and sees a room and asks Hyo's mom if it's Hyo's room, to which she replies it is, and questions on why is he asking. She, on being entranced by it, asks her if he could go inside the room. He notes that it was just an ordinary room, the kind of room you'd see often in any drama or movie, with a usual everyday life with normal dreams and efforts with a normal happy family, those kind of things, and maybe because he longed for it so much that he does not get it. Hyo, who had the ordinary and normal family, he starts thinking that Hyo should be in this room. He could have been happy spending ordinary and normal times as he looks over his photo with his mom. He starts to realize that he should not have simply stood by. Back to Eugene, who has finished his meal and thanks her for it, notes that this is his chance and Cheyenne is gone as he praises her food to get her attention. Eugene asks if he could ask her a few questions and she replies sure, and Eugene asks if she has any other family besides her son, a husband for instance. Hyo's mother wonders how can she explain it, and replies that he was needed in heaven, so she let him go. He questions if he became a family member over there, and she replies that's a lovely way to put it, but he then says that on the other hand her son could not become a part of a family anywhere, which she gets confused upon hearing. He continues on that a weak loser, a useless child cannot become anyone's family, and Hyo's mother asks him on what is he talking about. Eugene replies a family is where you constantly prove your worth and show your valuable presence. If you don't, you are just a hindrance that consumes resources. And upon hearing his reply, Hyo's mom stands up and denies his view and tells him that it's not how a family is, which leaves Eugene speechless as he asks then, "What is it?" Just as she is about to answer, Cheyenne comes and picks up Eugene and quickly takes him away, asking if they could sleep in the living room. She suggests him to sleep in Hyo's room, but Cheyenne decides to use the sofa instead as it's good enough for him, while telling Eugene to sleep on the floor, which he denies to. Now fast forward at night. Eugene is surprised that Cheyenne really made him sleep on the floor. He gets up and sees the door open with lights turned on. He goes on to check it and finds Hyo's mom, and while he looks at her sleeping, he calls her a quite strange person as she calls such a useless kid her family, and even makes that kind of face to a stranger like himself even when he has not proven anything, while remembering the director's words, and then remembers what she told him about a family, and wonders what is a family. Eugene pulls out a weapon while saying that he needs to prove himself, though this time, he is hesitant. He tries to convince himself that he needs to become a family member that someone needs, but suddenly the door closes right in front of him, and we see it's Cheyenne who did it as he asks Eugene if this was the decision he took in the end. Eugene replies that he is simply fulfilling his mission and aims the weapon towards Cheyenne while telling him to not resist, but Cheyenne gives off no reaction, and Eugene notices the bullets missing. Cheyenne asks if he got that weapon from Rachel earlier, but he emptied its magazine while Eugene was sleeping, and that he is being quite lax since rounds of 9mm parabellum bullets would be 12.5G. He should have noticed is that the magazine was empty when he held the weapon while calling him an amateur. Eugene pulls out a knife to attack and Cheyenne blocks it. He grabs his hand and pins him on the door, but Eugene uses this opportunity to open the door. As the door opens, Eugene rushes towards Hyo's mom. He turns around to Cheyenne as Hyo's mom is still sleeping. Cheyenne tells him to be quiet and calm down first, but Eugene looks over and rushes off to attack her regardless. Cheyenne then uses a tie to grab Eugene by the leg and he falls down, but Eugene cuts it off using his knife as he stares at Cheyenne. Cheyenne claims that he got quite a scary look to him. Eugene uses the nearby bed and jumps towards Cheyenne and attacks him, but Cheyenne simply uses his tie to change his momentum. Eugene asks if he is going easy on him, and he tells Cheyenne to fight him properly, and Cheyenne replies sure, why not. Eugene then throws the weapon towards Hyo's mom, but Cheyenne knocks it down midair. He then kicks his legs to make him fall down, but catches him by shirt as to not make any noise. Cheyenne tells him to get up as they have not even started yet, and Eugene realizes the difference between him and the legend of the dead mansion, while Cheyenne calls Eugene's attack too obvious. Suddenly, he gets hit on his head by Hyo's mother, who asks what are they doing, and if they are fighting. Cheyenne replies it's nothing like that, though Hyo's mom doesn't buy it looking at it. Eugene thinks there is an opening, but she looks back at him and says it's enough. Cheyenne tells her that it's just morning workout, and Eugene spins his knife, calling it a trick, and realizes that he cannot win. He loses the confidence to kill her in front of Cheyenne as she again asks Cheyenne if he is not bothering him, and he replies that he was simply playing with him, with Eugene noting that a head-on confrontation is impossible. She tells Eugene as well to not make fun of his brother too much between family, which surprises him, realizing that she called him a family again, and he asks her if he is also a part of this family now. She replies that he is, since they eat and sleep under the same roof, making them no different than her family, and she gently starts to pat his forehead, and Cheyenne watches over. Suddenly someone knocks on the front door and asks if anyone is home. Hyo's mother goes on a check and asks who are you upon seeing an unknown girl. She greets her and apologizes for coming in so early in the morning and introduces herself as Eugene's sister Mary. She thanks her for taking care of Eugene last night, and Cheyenne comes around and asks who is it, and Hyo's mother informs him that she is Eugene's sister who has came to pick him up. Cheyenne does know the real identity and goes out to ask her on why did she came here, and she replies it's to pick up Eugene. Of course, in return for Eugene, they guarantee his mother's safety, which was their promise. Cheyenne asks on who is it that ordered a kid to kill, and Mary replies to not worry about it, as that was Rachel's arbitrary order, and he caught him anyways. Hearing all that, Cheyenne asks her if she could first get rid of her knife. Mary is a bit surprised that he noticed it already and tells him that nothing will happen as long as he cooperate, but Cheyenne makes fun of her by acting scared while saying that he wonders what would happen if he does not cooperate. Suddenly Eugene arrives, acting excited upon seeing his sister, and hugs her while Cheyenne calls them quite close, and Hyo's mother agrees with him. Mary whispers to Eugene that he has failed and the director will be greatly disappointed by this, and he might be discarded for real this time, and behind them Hyo's mother comments about both of them having pretty name. Cheyenne calls out to Eugene, and Eugene asks Mary what is she saying after ruining his plan, and she questions what plan. He replies that since he is an amateur, he was looking for an opportunity to win over this family. She asks if he is making excuses, and he tells her to not be absurd since this mission isn't simple, as he looks over the Cheyenne while telling Mary that the legend of the dead mansion Cheyenne is guarding her, and even though he is ugly, stupid, and his face is similar to a monkey, but he has fought him head-on, and is extremely strong. And Mary agrees with his opinion, especially about his face, which pisses Cheyenne off. She apologizes to Eugene about ruining his mission, and admits her fault, but she tells him to not worry as they have another mission lined up for him, and asks him to withdraw with her. Eugene agrees to do so, and they start to leave. Mary says her goodbye to Cheyenne, and Eugene tries to hurry up and leave. We see him looking a bit sad and disappointed, and suddenly Hyo's mom calls out to him. She asks him to come again another time. She would make him food again. Eugene doesn't reply anything and simply turns around and smiles and says he will. And Hyo's mom also tells Cheyenne that if he brings him over next time, she would make something delicious as well, and Cheyenne replies that he will. He would make sure to bring him over again. Now at school, the principal tells Hyo's mother that he is sorry for breaking the news to her like this, and that they were going to discuss the perpetrators and their punishments with the school violence committee, so it was a bit delayed. The perpetrators' parents promise to give compensation, and all of them will be suspended. He opens up a file with their images and asks she would like to see it, and she gets shocked upon seeing it. She asks him why this picture is here, and principal gets confused and asks what does she mean. We see it's a picture of Cheyenne, and she asks him on why is Cheyenne's picture here. Now, at the dead mansion, the director asks Rachel on how did it happen. She apologizes to the director as she was the one to order Eugene to kill the old woman, and calls him a useless child since he failed and is unable to carry out even a single order properly. But the director says this isn't what it's about, and Rachel is confused. The director replies that he told her to retrieve Eugene and leave the old woman alone, and despite that she ordered Eugene to kill the old woman, and asks if she is not the one who is failing to comply with his orders. She argues that it was for the retrieval of Sean, but the director replies that he places great importance on promises regardless of who it was made to, as before God there should only be faith and trust. Everything else is heresy. But since the children's lack faith, he had to create 3 principles to controlling a measure. As such, he asked Rachel to remember the consequences of uncontrolled and unexpected events from the past orders principles. These are the 3 principles of the dead mansion, to which Rachel says amen. She asks if they're going to give up on retrieval of Cheyenne then, but he replies that she does not need to worry about that as there are plenty of ways to do that without touching the old woman, and Mary is already on that operation. Now, as Cheyenne walks into the classroom, he notices the atmosphere being different than before. He asks one of the students on why is everyone acting weird, and if it's due to some exam, but the guy doesn't answer, which annoys Cheyenne. Suddenly, some guys asks him if this is for real while staring at their phone, and Cheyenne asks them what is it about, and they show him a photo of him bullying Joseph. Looking at it, Cheyenne realizes that it's a low-quality photoshopped image, and asks them where did they got it from, but they all don't answer, and simply stare at each other. Suddenly, they apologize to him for being wrong all this time about the fact that it was really him who beat up Joseph and had him act as his underling, and Cheyenne is taken back upon hearing that. They inform him that the rumors has already spread throughout the whole school that even Joseph is scared of him, while Cheyenne wonders if they all really believe these stuff. They show him another photo of him chilling with gangsters with Cheyenne in shock, saying that this one is going way too far. Also, one more rumor about him ordering Joseph to take care of Hyo, and Cheyenne gets nervous upon hearing that. He tries to clear himself up by telling everyone that he did not do anything, but no one is believing him. The other bullies calls him really cool for all that as they try to get close to him, while pushing away one of the students who tries to retaliate, but the bully gets angry at him. He tries to hit him, but Cheyenne intervenes and stops him and distracts them by hesitantly accepting about the incident and leads them outside on the pretense of telling them what actually happened. As while walking outside with them, both Cheyenne and the students stare at each other with nervousness. Cheyenne asks them if they smoke while telling that he doesn't, as the guy asks why did he even ask then. The students comments that they didn't knew that Cheyenne was like that and calls him birds of the same feather. Outside, the guys have explained everything to him. The photo was sent in group chat early in the morning and the person who shared it left after saying only a few words. He wonders if this is the dead mansion's doing and tries to think of their purpose for doing so. Cheyenne gets up and starts making a cover-up story that he wanted to live a quiet school life here but got exposed again, and wonders if any other school will even accept him now. He tells them that he wants to graduate quietly from here and that he doesn't want to get caught in pranks made by kids like this, and the ones he should be dealing with are not kids, as he is already living in the world of adults. He tells them to make it sure this matter doesn't spread any further, and he is asking them quietly to take care of it as his crew members. Hearing him call them his crew members, they all get happy and excited and gets ready to follow his orders. And in the back we see Hyo's mom catches Cheyenne with the bullies. Going back in time a bit, she tries to argue with the principal that Cheyenne's photo here must be a misunderstanding as he is Hyo's friend, but the principal shows her another photo and that he is already famous among the children, and he also has testimony that he hung out with a friend named Joseph, and though he is hesitant, he still tells her that he thinks Cheyenne is the ringleader. She is still in disbelief, and the principal adds that since his parents are also hard to contact, this is perhaps the reason he lacks proper home education. Based on his experience, kids like him are bound to get in trouble more easily, and hence he advises her to not trust Cheyenne too much. Now back to Cheyenne. He wonders if what he did will help calm down the rumors a bit, as they all seemed more naive than he thought. Suddenly, he detects Mary hiding around the corner and calls her out, which surprises her. She comes out of the hiding saying that she thought she was well hidden. Cheyenne advises her that she should have gotten rid of her coffee scent first if she wanted to hide properly, which is the same as she had in front of Hyun's house. Seeing how he managed to catch her smell so fast, she teases him by saying she is getting uncomfortable from it. He asks her on what does she want and why is she causing trouble and making things complicated, but she replies he seems to be enjoying it a lot despite it being trouble, while mocking him about his previous dialogue about him dealing with adults and not kids. Cheyenne is left speechless and is a bit embarrassed about it. She then asks him how does he feel when she made him the popular bully of the school. He replies that it wasn't enjoyable at all since he was already popular to begin with. She asks it's not about that. It's about the cold and harsh gazes of the children and the looks of contempt filled with betrayal, while again asking if he liked it or not. He realizes that she is talking about the picture and asks if she made it. She asks how was it and if it wasn't well made, but he replies that he was amazed by how bad it was and with something like that it would barely deceive normal people. She replies that it might be crude since she did not have much time and resources, but Shine makes fun of her by calling it all excuses. She gets pissed and suddenly uses a hidden weapon and attacks Shine with it, but he blocks it with his own bag. He hides behind a wall while asking if she is crazy, as both she and Rachel always pull out a weapon wherever they go. And didn't they tell him that they would bring him back, and what would happen if he dies? She replies that it's a joke since the real Shine would dodge it. She knows that much. And anyways, it would be better for her if she kills him right here. She suddenly stops attacking and drops her bag, which Shine notices as she walks close to the corner. Shine grabs her weapon, but she doesn't let it go, and Shine slams her in the wall with it and blocks when she tries to knee him. She pulls out a mini knife with her other hand and tries to attack with it, but Shine dodges it and asks if that's really all she got as he mocks Dead Mansion, calling it actually dead. He pins her on the ground and asks her if she didn't expect something like that, did she? She starts to chuckle and replies she of course did not. Suddenly Cheyenne hears Hyo's mom calls him out, asking him on what is he doing. In shock, she starts to tell him that he is not supposed to do that as he is supposed to be Hyun's friend, and starts to doubt and questions him if he really did all that to her. Hyunho. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing manhwa stories. See you in the next one.